Hello and welcome to my video on 2021 Wave versus 2020 Wave. So in this video I'll kind of compare a set compared to another set from the other wave to kind of get an idea of which one is better. Do you enjoy this video, please subscribe because I'll be doing more of these in the future. Anyway, so quick look at the 2020 Wave. There were 10 sets and they ranged in size from a £25 set to roughly I think £140 set. And it was, at the time, quite a popular wave. There were a couple sets that weren't as, expected. But anyway, still pretty cool. 2021 was quite a bigger wave. So you had the UCS Republic gunship and quite a lot of sets. This wave was also revealed, very staggered. So, yeah, anyway, I'll compare each set. So I'll start off with the advent calendar. So firstly the 2020 Lego Star Wars advent calendar, 311 pieces, 75279. Exact same name for this one, 335 pieces and 75307. But this one is basically exclusively off the Mandalorian. As you can kind of see, so the one to the left of your screen is the 2021 one. And you can kind of see there's the Slave 1, Moff Gideon's Cruiser, IG-88, and then on the other one you've got a bit more of range, like a Dorito TIE Fighter, a A-Wing, and a Republic Cruiser, so you kind of get a bit more range with the 2021, and I think that's just better, so the first point goes to 2020, as I think the range just works a bit better for an advent calendar. Next is the 75310 Jill Mandalore of 147 pieces, 2 minifigures, versus the 501st Legion's Clone Trooper, 285 pieces. This image is a bit low quality, I'm not really sure why, but anyway, so comparing them, you've kind of got 2 minifigures for one versus 6 in the other, slightly cheaper, the Darth Maul versus Ahsoka Tano. And the other one is also pretty good because, it's being wanted. It's just a very popular set, but then the minifigures also do show 6 versus 2 is quite a lot more minifigures. So I have to award it to 2020 as let's just say the 501st Battle Pack is up there as one of the better sets and a very popular set. So next we have the Armors Mandalorian Forge of 258 pieces, 75319 free minifigures versus 75281 Anakin Jedi Interceptor 248 pieces. And you can kind of see here the Mandalorian Forge is very nice. You've got a bunch of Beskar and the nice helmet, as well as your 3 really good minifigures, the armor, Paz Vizsla, and the Mandalorian, compared to an Anakin that's not even accurate, and an R2-D2, which is pretty good, but still, I think you have to agree with me on the Armor's Mandalorian Forge. Also, the other one is practically a remake of the 2014 one, and this one's just really nice because you can kind of recreate scenes, as you can see in the bottom corner. It's kind of a recreation of that scene where Paz Vizsla just walks in, and it is a really, really good set. Anyway, next, 75311 Imperial Armoured Marauder, 478 pieces, £35, so it was actually a pretty good price per piece, compared to 75283 Armour's Assault Tank, 286 pieces. And they're both kind of, I went with the kind of tanky vehicles, Imperial versus Separatist, and well, they both are quite impressive, other than, in my opinion, the Imperial Armoured Marauder being off colour. But I do really, really like the AAT. And also, when you look at the minifigures, you do kind of get a couple army builders with your Stormtroopers and Kashyyyk Troopers. And yeah, I just think the AAT is better. It's a bit more of an appealing set. And I do quite like it. Also, it's Clone Wars, which is just generally more popular. And then next we have 75312 Boba Fett Starship. I'll refer to it as the same one, as that's the vehicle's actual name. And 593 pieces, 2 minifigures, compared to the Knights of Ren transport ship with 3 minifigures, and it's 75284 and 595 pieces. If you look at the minifigures, they're not bad in comparison. They've kind of got a couple with arm printing versus a couple that don't, so it's kind of, the Rey minifigure is probably the worst, but then the rest of them are kind of equal. But because the Boba Fett minifigure is really good, I think you kind of have to lean in towards that set being better. but then because there's 3, it kind of draws it. But anyway, the ships, if you first look at them, they're pretty equal. But then when you realise that the Knights of Ren ship is hollow underneath, and that the Slave 1 also has a display stand, which also works as like a bit that can go up to the entrance of it and go into it, it kind of just begins to lean towards the Slave 1, and that's why I think it is the better set. Next, we have the 75316 Mandalorian Starfighter, 544 pieces, Gar Saxon Bo-Katan Mandalorian Loyalist versus General Grievous' Starfighter, 487 pieces. General Grievous' Starfighter, pretty alright, although they've been ridiculously overpriced. The other one is brilliant, and it's just not really a comparison. It's just this one's minifigures are better than the other set. So I go to Mandalorian Starfighter 2021. Next we have 75296, 663 pieces, Darth Vader's Meditation Chamber versus the Death Star Duel, 775 pieces. And yeah, they're both display in a way, and they kind of are similar in a way. They're both like Darth Vader kind of based. And then, but one is very much so strictly display. The other is quite nice to display, but also very playable. And I think I have to give it to that because if you look at the back of the box, which is on the side of the screen, so many features, like you can look up, you can collapse that part, you can throw the stairs, you can remove the back of it to reveal like a place to store all of like your Darth Sidious things, and that's just really quite impressive. Next, 75314, the Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, 969 pieces, 6 minifigures, compared to Razor Crest, 1023 pieces, 5 minifigures. So both of the sets are really, really good. So the Razor Crest is like a bit bigger, but then you have 2 speeder bikes with the Bad Batch Shuttle, and that's kind of why they're very close. But then, like, look at the Razor Crest won Toy of the Year award, and then, but if you look at the minifigures, the like Bad Batch one is a bit better, and I think that's just kind of hard to argue against because the Bad Batch minifigures are really nice. But then they're both packed with features, like this entire ship unfolds. You have spring-loaded shooters, an escape pod, a bit area to store weapons, and like your cockpit, and an area like a bed area for your Mandalorian. Whereas on this one, you have the wings will fold up. You've got a bit of an interior as well as a cockpit, and like areas to store blasters. And really, it's very close, but I kind of have to lean towards this one just because it's better value. But this is probably the closest tie we've had so far. And 75315 Imperial Light Cruiser, 13,036 pieces, versus Resistance ITS Transport, 932 pieces. They're both interesting sets. One of them's quite different, with the Resistance ITS Transport being a ride, like the Star Wars land or whatever you call it, and the other one being Moff Gideon's Cruiser. Minifigures of the Moff Gideon's Cruiser are slightly better, but when you look at them, their value slightly goes towards the other way, but still kind of have to give it to this because it's much more iconic, and you can like know what it is looking at, whereas the other one you can maybe have to Google it or do a bit of research. So yeah, next we have the Republic Gunship 75309, 3,292 pieces, versus 7528 AT-AT, 12,067 pieces, Luke Skywalker, and a bunch of other minifigures, being 6 of them overall. And it is quite interesting. Minifigures, well, UCS Gunship doesn't include an image of one of their minifigures. It's basically obviously towards the AT-AT. And so the sets are interesting because as much as the UCS Gunship you may think immediately goes to, when you really look at them, you kind of got the situation where actually the AT-AT is good for display, also has quite a few play features and a speeder bike and an E-Web blaster, so they're both kind of pretty good, but AT-AT's just a bit more like it's a really, really good playset, also quite nice for display, so that's why it goes to this. So after all of those sets comparisons, the score is 5-all, which is a draw, but I kind of decided I kind of wanted to get a bit more of a defined whoever wins out of these two waves. So I decided to go pick the best set from each wave and compare them. Well, in my opinion, and ones that I also have of both. So when you look at them, really, you've got the 501st Battle Pack, 285 pieces, 3 501st Troopers, 501st Jet Trooper, 2 Battle Droids. Quite a good set. Versus Mandalorian Starfighter, 544 pieces, Gar Saxon, Bo-Katan, and Mandalorian Loyalist. Minifigures, you get 6 versus 3, but the 3 are so good. I rank them in all of them in my top 4, whereas the other ones would have been, I think, 80th, well, this was for the year, and 9th and 7th-ish. So really, the other one is a bit better with the Mandalorian. And then, so looking at both of them, I personally think the Mandalorian Starfighter is better. It's just such a nice set. The cockpit rotates. There's a lot of features, a lot of things you can do with the set. And the other one is nice, but it's just in hand, that Mandalorian set is brilliant. One of the best sets. I think probably my second or first favourite set of all time. So 2021 wins this round, meaning they win it all for 6-5. But it is very close considering, had I not done the extra round, it would have been a draw. And anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.